Welcome to Secret Handshake. I'm Dragaur,
I'm Sev.
and today we're talking about episode 5 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Hey Sev, you ever just think about joining the Empire and becoming the most effective soldiers they have? Because I know we can both shoot straighter than any of their stormtroopers.
Yeah, I figured I could go there and show them something of how to actually shoot because, yeah, I don't think they could hit a broadside of a barn.
It appears they can't because in an open bay full of rebels, it should be a turkey shoot, and I think they killed 2 people. So meanwhile, like 60 stormtroopers got murdered, but
We'll start them out with water guns
I
so they
guess.
don't hurt themselves. Um, I about that scene, I was thinking about it. Maybe Obi-Wan was just blocking all the shots. He was just really.
Every single one?
Yeah, maybe if you remember, Kylo Ren held back a blaster bolt. Maybe Obi-Wan was deflecting him with the Force or something.
I mean, maybe. He did push Riva back really far when they opened the door.
Yeah,
He was like boom, and I was surprised he was able to do that because he was struggling to grab Leia falling, the 30-pound like 8-year-old.
I
But
think that has to do with that he is getting more in touch with his roots as a Jedi and able to his connection with the Force has strengthened again. So he's been
mm,
like working a muscle, and the assumption I think is that I kind of wonder how many days have passed since the first episode. Do you think it's been like a week or so, or like
I mean, it's been at least you. I mean, I don't know how long they're saying space travel is in this current Disney timeline because they acted like in Last Jedi that you could jump from one end of the galaxy to the other in like less than a few hours. So I don't know what their how fast space travel is supposed to be in the Star Wars universe anymore. But I would say it would at least have to be 3 or 4 days because I mean, they went from the very beginning because he slept a night, or, well, at the very beginning in the first episode with that first Jedi, it had been, he had met that Jedi on Tatooine, then it was the next day, and then it was like one more day before he even decided to go and find Leia, so minimum, I would say, what, 4 to 6 days.
okay? Yeah, that makes sense. And then, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that.
So yeah, what do you think about this episode?
I
Besides the stormtroopers having issues shooting straight,
I
which
think.
to be fair, has always been a problem. But
Well, here's the thing. I've been doing more thinking about it, and what I think is that the stormtroopers that were with Riva were told to be terrible shots, or they were the freshest recruits in the universe given to Riva because Darth Vader wanted her to fail. Because of the big surprise at the end with the Grand Inquisitor, they knew what was going on. The Grand Inquisitor knew what was going on the entire time, and Vader knew what was going on the entire time. They just wanted her to fail, and they knew she'd get angry and upset. So maybe that.
I mean, maybe I that's a lot of hand waving to be like, yeah, that's what happened. But
Yeah. Oh,
um,
yeah. That's definitely what happened. I was. Do you not know that I was a consul to help them write this script. Yeah. You're welcome.
I think if that was true, I think it would be better. I gotta hope it would be better.
I would hope so
I
too.
I don't want to crap all over the show because there have been things that I actually enjoyed and I thought they did a good job with. There's been some other things where I've been like, it's not so great. Um, but this episode in particular seemed to have a lot of like, what's going on there? Like, why? I mean, they went back to Jabim without even a thought that they might be tracked. Like, why wouldn't you have gone anywhere else, or dropped off Leia first, or something? It just seems odd to me that they're like, hey, we narrowly escaped. Now let's go directly back to our, hidden rebel fortress.
Well, it's because they say the guy mentions it. He says like they need to get these people out of here, type of thing. They've been waiting for a while, and that they need to get going, and so they needed to come back to get those people.
I guess, but if the Imperials are hot on your trail, I guess I just don't understand going straight back to your fortress type of thing. You would think that there's a chance that they could be tracking you. Just in general, you would think that that would be the case. But
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think like I feel like some of the things in this show are um you need to take a little bit of a leap of
yeah,
ignoring certain
suspend
beliefs.
disbelief.
Yeah, because none of it, not some of it is just kind of like, yeah. Some of it just helps the
Yeah.
plot move forward. I think
Hmm.
like with Haji dropping, is that his name? Haja. Haja, I think his name.
Ah. Hmm.
Haja drops the communicator with all the information
Oh, yep.
to direct um, Riva where to go next. So
Yeah.
it just kind of helps the plot move forward. This type of devices
Yeah.
that happen here and there, and it's like, okay,
Yeah. I suppose so. It seems like it seems like a very hurried show in some ways. Like they they the first couple of episodes, honestly, to me, the first couple of episodes were probably the best in general. My only nitpick there would have been like when they're when Leia's running from the baddies, which we already discussed the first couple episodes before, but like it just seems very stilted and not very a well put together scene. Which fine, I can look past that, but in general, those first few episodes were pretty good, and then it's kind of gone off the rails a little bit for me. But I did like the lightsaber fight that was interspersed throughout. That was a flashback of Obi-Wan and Anakin during or right before the Clone Wars. I thought that that was a pretty neat way to tell the story. They kind of used it as a device of the back and forth between Obi-Wan and Anakin currently, which they're both trying to outmaneuver each other, kind of thing.
hmm I would have in some cases. I would have liked to have just seen it as one full cut and watched the entire thing as one full cut too. So
Yeah,
to see Ian McGregor and Hayden Christensen really go back at it, full blast fighting again. It was cool. I liked it. I'm not upset about it in any way. I'm sure someone will stitch it together on YouTube and I can watch it there.
yeah,
Um,
you're probably right.
but yeah, I thought it was super cool. They as you noticed they seem to not have spent so much money on the whole de-aging technology on Hayden Christian, or
Yeah,
if any.
yeah. I don't think they did at all. I don't know as if it's really necessary. Like, yeah, he looks a little bit older, but like we get it. It's been 15 years, so
Yeah, I don't. I'm not hating on it or anything. Just something I notice about it. But yeah, I think that was pretty cool. It was kind of interesting seeing Riva being promoted to Grand Inquisitor, even though we know the Grand Inquisitor is still alive.
yeah. Um,
He was.
that was interesting. Like they were just trying to set her up even more to fail. I guess I'm not sure what their thought was there because I'm not even sure if it was necessary to even do that. They could have Darth Vader still could have used her the exact same way he did and
He wanted
not
her.
done that. But
He wanted her to choke on her aspirations.
I guess so. um,
I think Vader's still like. I personally don't think this is the Darth Vader from Episode 4. Like I get it, but really he's not the Darth. He's not the like. I still feel like he's menacing, but he's not quite there yet because um, I think he's learning lessons right now from Obi-Wan. Like at the end of the thing, he'll have learned. That's why, like in Episode 4, he says, "When I left you, I was still the learner, right? But now I'm the master." So I think that like what do you call not Obi? I think Anakin, well, Darth Vader now is still being his old self, and he hasn't turned to become fully the Darth Vader we know in Episode 4.
I mean, the cynical part of me wants to be like, well, that's a pretty nice excuse you've made for them, um, but in universe, it makes as much sense as anything. So,
I,
my only issue is like at the end, he goes to kill Reva after she fails, and to kill him. The cool part of that is he basically can just fight her without a lightsaber using the Force, which I thought was awesome. But then he just wounds her, and it's like obviously like you could probably survive the lightsaber wound he gave her. Like granted it was to her midsection, but I doubt it was anything vital. If she was able to get out of there, like obviously she's going to survive. So I don't know why he did that. I feel like Darth Vader and most Sith in general would just be like, especially Darth Vader though, would just be like, okay, well I don't care about you anymore. I have no use for you, so you're dead.
Maybe he feels like there will be some use for her.
Maybe. I don't know.
I like maybe she has a bunch of hatred, and maybe he feels that like she maybe he can sense there's still some use for her. So, because they've forced junk. They've done that within the past, sort of, with people sensing I feel like this boy has. I think they said about like who was it, Anakin or whatever. Still has some part to play. Or oh, never mind. You know what? I could be confusing Lord of the Rings with Star Wars. Who knows? Because I just realized that was literally talking about what's his name? That's like talking about the Smeagol.
Golem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where Gandalf's like, I still sense he has some part to play in. So
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is not Star Wars.
I know. I'm sorry. I think they're in the same universe though.
You think?
Oh, why not? Why wouldn't they be?
Sure, why not? They could be. It's a galaxy far, far away.
Exactly.
So.
They're just in different galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Gandalf trained the first Jedi.
Could be.
Anyway, so yeah, I think at the end of the episode though, you see it because Anakin at the end of the episode, you see how he lost because he just wanted to go for victory, right? And then he wasn't paying attention to the bigger picture. And once again, he loses. He lost again by not being able to catch Obi-Wan because he was too quickly to try to to win and wasn't focusing on the bigger picture, and so he lost to Obi-Wan again. And in this episode, just like he did in the thing. So I think this is the story saying like Anakin is still not still has things to be better at. And so that's why I don't feel like I was reaching. I get that what you're saying. Like personally, I think Vader by this point should be like, like I said before, I wish he would have just like dropped Reva right there in the previous episode after she was totally messed up. And also I agree. I feel like Vader normally would have just killed her here and not even like he would have just made sure she was dead. He wouldn't have just like, oh, I'll stab you and you might live. But we don't know what the next episode is. Maybe Vader has some tracking device on her or something. But I totally agree. Vader made her look like a clown because he showed how much power difference between him and the Inquisitors are, and especially her, in that he doesn't even need a lightsaber to take her down. He never pulled out his lightsaber one time, I believe.
Nope.
He only lightsaber he used was hers because he took it away from her. So she's like,
and broke it in half so they could each have one.
Yeah, he's not afraid of her. She's such a child. This is This is like Robin trying to go after Batman. It ain't gonna work, man. Batman's already planned this. Batman. He planned. Give him the time to plan anything. He can do anything apparently, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, no, this ain't happening. Reva's not gonna kill Darth Vader. It's
Hmm.
just not gonna happen. End of story.
Yeah, my general thoughts on that fight were I liked it just because it showed like how strong Darth Vader was compared to the Inquisitors. Like they're basically just nothing compared to the actual Sith Lords. I don't know what the difference there is besides in general the different Force well the actual disparity in how strong the Force is with various people. Like Obi-Wan is obviously top Jedi, and so was Anakin. Whatever she was a youngling. She wasn't even fully trained, and whatever her training with the Inquisitor is, they're not going to train them to be more powerful or even as powerful as an actual Sith. So,
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I do think like for instance like Obi-Wan's a better tactician and stuff like that
mhm,
than Anakin right now. Um,
mhm,
and I think that girl is just she is reckless and like Yoda would say, and I think that she basically, like you said, she still acts like a child and stuff like that. So I think
mhm.
she's not going to be
I
able to
also,
do what she wants. She's just back to where she was again.
yeah, I also wonder why I'm sorry, why Darth Vader even bothered to have her like lead the assault on this little rebel fort or whatever. Why didn't he go down there? So I found that a little bit odd too to begin with, but maybe he just wanted to use her or try to use her to put Obi-Wan in a position of whatever. Who knows? But
I mean, maybe it has to do with like he he obviously he knew about the Grand Inquisitor being stabbed, right? And so he kept that a secret from her.
hmm.
And maybe he was trying to figure out what she was doing, right? Like
Hmm.
he knew something was up about her and wanted to figure out like what what this would lead to or something. Is my assumption is that like it has to do something where she, you know, I think this is leading to Darth Vader thought there was some kind of use for her and wanted to see
Hmm.
what she was going to do.
Hmm. Yeah. Um Overall, like there's a couple other like nitpicky things I could talk about, like why, granted, yeah, she's a tiny little girl and she can fit in the vents with the cables, but why is Leia able to why does a princess from Alderaan have the knowledge to do like wiring
Oh,
in a,
easy.
you know,
Genetics, Gattaca.
genetics? I don't I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So just because she's Anakin's daughter,
Yes.
she's able to, okay.
Yes.
I mean, Anakin worked in a junkyard. That's how he acquired those skills, but okay.
Well, she's just like her father.
All
She
right.
picks up on it really well. She is like top genetics, and she's really
Like
smart.
if they had, my thing is if they had just given her like a throwaway line that was like, "Oh, and she learned to, make this droid like 2 episodes ago that like, oh, I built this droid myself." At least then it would be something that's like, "Oh, well, that's, interesting. She has knowledge of such things." They didn't do that though.
Hmm.
So it's another hand wavy thing for me that you have to be like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine because maybe these are the reasons why it's fine, but we don't actually know."
So I feel like okay. So what you're saying is that you have some issues with the episode, and that has to what not the episode, the series so far is because you feel like there's too many things that are you had to hand wave over.
Yeah, I mean, just things that to me, I realize you don't have to give me every aspect of a character in order for me to be like, ah, they could do this, but something to tell me why a 9 or a 10-year-old would be able to,
Mm-hmm.
just anything. Like, I mean, I remember being a 9, 10-year-old helping my dad work on, you know, cars and stuff. I helped very little. I mostly held tools for him and flashlights, that kind of thing. But at least that it's like, oh, I helped my dad work on these things, or I was a slave in a junkyard on Tatooine that, I learned to work with mechanical stuff. She's a princess on Alderaan.
Well, she's
Like,
probably got
if
the
this
best
was
education.
Luke,
She has the best
well,
education.
why are you trying to make this work so hard?
Because
Why are you this way?
I like the show, and I think
All right, fair
I'm
enough.
trying to figure out how to save it. Hashtag save Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
All right, fair enough. I like that you're taking the opposite of me on all of this. Continue.
Continue.
Tell me why Darth Vader left Reva alive and why she would care about a boy on Tatooine that apparently Obi-Wan gives a crap about.
Okay, so I'm so glad you asked. So
Hmm.
this is my theory. My theory is that Vader is like, well, you're gonna either die or live, right? So I cut you. You're enough to you could possibly live, but you could just also die. If you use the dark side of the Force, maybe you're strong enough to live, and you could actually come back from this even stronger, right? And my theory is that why does she want to go after Obi-Wan, right? Well, because I feel that Obi-Wan, she's mad at Obi-Wan. Why is she mad at Obi-Wan, right?
Fair.
She's mad at Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan went ahead and was the master towards Anakin, and Anakin killed all her family because all the other younglings.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So she wants revenge on Obi-Wan because she feels like he's also to blame because he wasn't there. He didn't stop him. He didn't
Fair enough.
he didn't do his master's
Yeah.
duty.
I'm not necessarily questioning her motives. I might have done that just now, but that all makes sense to me, and I'd had that thought as well. So I guess she's just going after she's going to they're setting up that she's going to go after Luke because it will hurt Obi-Wan, or she could use it against Obi-Wan.
Yeah, to get Obi-Wan there. I think
Okay.
what I'm seeing is that she's already seen that she thinks she can defeat Obi-Wan, right? She wants a revenge. You can see that she really wants a revenge, and she can't beat Darth Vader, right? That's like one thing we know.
Right.
She cannot beat Darth Vader. She already showed that she is like what she thinks she may be able to do is like, well, the second best is the master. Take him out, and at least I can feel like I got some kind of revenge. I think the interesting thing about this entire story so far too is that Reva, it's interesting that you can understand now why she's had issues of, with torturing Leia, right? So her story is basically she is trying to get revenge and trying to rid the galaxy of a great evil, what she feels, right? But then she's become an evil of her own. You know what I mean? Because now she's going around and killing people and being evil herself.
Hmm.
So Reva is become, in a way, what she hates.
Yes, I'm all right. I'm on board with all of that. You convinced me. Enough. You win this round.
Okay.
Um,
We can continue
other
arguing.
no, the only other thing that I have is with the way that Disney has told stories so far. Well, not even Disney, just Lucasfilm in general. Everybody that uh, turns back to the good side immediately dies afterwards. So you think that's what's going to happen with Reva, or?
Ooh, that's a good question. Now that we know there's a season 2, I don't know. I think so. I would have initially said yes because here's the thing.
Mhm.
Because what Yoda says, if I remember right, is that like once you go down that path, there's no turning back, and so the reason that we never see anyone turn back because like there's no turning back. You just basically you're evil and now you need to die. Because you can't just be a good guy now because what are you going to do after you've killed a bunch of people? Start doing good and then you're going to be what? Like, how are you going to be held accountable for your actions and stuff? And that's kind of boring storytelling. It's like, okay, well, now we're going to imprison you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's, I guess that's true, but if that's the case, then there's never really a reason to turn back to the good side if you've been a bad guy.
I mean, out of character, yeah. If you knew that that's the thing about turning back to a good guy, yeah. But as long as
I guess.
I think if you were, the only way you can do it is you have to be someone like really pretty dang cool. Like I'd say you have to be someone like Voss.
That's true. That did happen. He was what's her face, Asajj Ventress's sort of pupil or whatever, and I think they actually like fell in love or something in the comics. So yeah, it does happen occasionally, but that's sort of he's the exception.
Yeah.
So, and since they mentioned him in this, I'm kind of really hoping that we see more of his story because he's actually a really interesting character. He's always been kind of a fan favorite because he's sort of he doesn't play by the Jedi rules kind of guy. So
He doesn't play by anyone's rules, not even his own.
not even his own. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I think this episode overall was good. I was disappointed with some of the things, like you said. It's kind of like you have to shave a little, get a little disbelief in there, sprinkle it with. Because I also was kind of bothered
Pixie
with.
dust.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed by the shooting too of the troopers. I was like, come on, you guys can't even hit anything. Like, I don't want to see good people die, but at the same time, like, they should have put them in a narrower tunnel or something where Obi-Wan has more of a chance to like block more people or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they literally killed. I think I saw 2 dead bodies. Besides, that's something we didn't bring up. Tala and her robot died.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that it was coming, but it's kind of. I knew that it was coming, but it kind of sucks that she died because I kind of liked her character a little bit, but like you were saying in the last episode, or when we talked about the last episode, it seemed like she was sort of due because she's been taking a lot of chances. So
I think I thought it was kind of interesting. You see that Reva puts Obi-Wan inside behind the door. When I was watching it, I was like, initially my feeling was like, what is this? Some supervillain junk? You know what I mean? And then I was like, where they put the good guy in a situation where they're allowed to escape. But then I realized, thinking about it,
she did it on purpose.
She did it on purpose because she wanted him to escape, and then Darth Vader would be after him, and then she could have her opportunity to try to stab or kill or whatever Darth Vader. So
one last nitpicky thing I had was why, when they were sieging the door and shooting a big heavy blaster or whatever at the door, when she was able to just be like zip with her lightsaber and it opened instantly.
Do you want to?
Why were they?
Do you want an in-universe explanation or story explanation? Because like out of story explanation, just for the plot to make it interesting for them.
Well, obviously for the plot,
but
yeah.
From
but that's
in-universe explanation. She's not a very good tactician.
all right, fair enough.
I just think she's not. She clearly is not very good with. She's not a warrior, really good warrior. I feel, and that just clearly shows that like Vader wouldn't have just sat there and be like, well, let me just sit here while this thing's. Vader would have just either ripped it open with the Force or used his saber, right? Like, and that's how Vader. I think that's how Vader almost did it, and I don't know if that's how he did it when trying to get the Obi-Wan, but like you can see in this that like Vader just doesn't mess around when he's actually in there doing something. And I get it. Like, I don't want to see Vader overused all the time. Because then, I like Vader being a little menacing. And when he shows up, it's dangerous, right? So I'm glad that I guess one aspect of why, like, there being Inquisitors here, hunting down Obi-Wan, because it gives Obi-Wan to interact with without overusing Darth Vader. And keeping him menacing. It's kind of like the Emperor, right? If the Emperor's showing up, you know stuff's getting serious. I mean, unless you're
Hmm.
watching like the sequels, but I mean, for anything prequel, not prequels, but the originals. Um, Even if he doesn't really battle that much, he still has a menacing attitude about him.
Hmm.
So overall, I think the story was great so far. Obviously, we have issues with it, but I mean, I've watched plenty of other movies that are worse than this,
Oh,
and
I've definitely watched worse things. I mean,
I still enjoyed them.
you
So
know, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't dislike the show. For the most part, have had fun watching it. I guess I just have. It's not how I would have done it, but
I
I'm never going to be a writer for Lucasfilm or Hollywood, so
I
that's fine.
I think the main problem I see, and I think this is the way you might feel about it, and I'm sure plenty of other people online, I'm sure, would feel is that like you have this is a franchise that you care about, story characters that you care about. You've thought about them. You thought about Obi-Wan and Vader fighting. You've envisioned it. You envisioned how things that would happen. Even if you didn't take much thought into it, you at least had an idea, possibly, what how things would be for this series, right? And so I think that's where the disappointment comes in. Is like people set up their expectations really high, and I actually don't blame them because I feel like this is such a beloved characters we're dealing with, and
Hmm.
for some reason I do feel that this series, even though I looked online, this budget was pretty big budget. I think
Hmm.
so it wasn't like a I think they secured like 25 million or whatever, right? So it wasn't like cheap. But the weird thing about it is that I don't know how much they secured for the Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian storytelling feels better, and some of the other
Yeah.
stuff feels better. I don't know why that's the case. What's the difference here? Different writers, maybe different directors. I don't know what the case is, but I just felt like the Mandalorian did better job that I
Hmm.
wasn't so upset about. But maybe that's because I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it's because I don't know the Mandalorian character, but
I mean, maybe.
but that's even with that being the case. I guess I had an idea what Mandalorians were. So even with that, I don't know. Just
True, but they've kind of changed a lot of that lore as well, considering. But unless you're going off just off Clone Wars and Rebels, in which case it's kind of the same lore. But
well, I think I figured out the problem.
yeah.
Yeah, no wonder. Apparently from the season, the first season of Mandalorian had a budget of $100 million for the Mandalorian.
Okay, but how many episodes is it? Isn't it 10 episodes or is it 8?
Um,
Because I had heard, I don't know if you looked up the budget, but I had heard the budget for Obi-Wan was 15 million an episode.
you looked it up and you found that it's 25 per episode. I thought it was 25 million per season, right? So now that we see this is like so what we're seeing is the Mandalorian was 100 million for the season, and um, Obi-Wan is 150 million for the season, right?
Hmm.
So, but I don't know why this feels cheaper.
It does, and I couldn't tell you either.
Really confusing to me, and maybe it's because the actors cost so much because you have two big name
Maybe.
actors in there. So, um, yeah, I'm kind of confused. Maybe that's the reason. It could be lots of them.
Yeah, you got James Earl Jones and Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, and Hayden Christensen.
I know. I was making a joke about Hayden Christensen not having a lot of work. I actually really like Hayden Christensen. I think he's done a good job in as Anakin as far as I'm concerned, and I've seen him a little bit in some other things. I remember that Jumper movie, which a lot of people went poo-pooed about, but
I
I
actually,
actually thought it was pretty
I
good,
actually
and
thought it
I
was
think
good.
he did a good job in it. So
Yeah,
yeah, so did I.
I like that.
I enjoyed it.
I was hoping for a jumper too, but um, yeah, I think that I don't know why it has a cheap. I've had the, in my opinion, I'll be honest, like, as much as I've been a fanboy this, most of this episode, I feel, I actually do feel disappointed by this entire series so far with the quality. So I've
Mm,
had to lower my expectations, in my opinion. After I think the
yeah.
first and second episode, I was like, okay, I put my expectations too high. I need to lower them a little bit, bring it back. Um, and I don't, and I just kind of went from there. I was like, okay, I do want to enjoy this. And I mean, if it would have went way down in the drains, right? I would have like, okay, this is completely dumb. So I don't think it's like
Hmm.
terrible, but I think I had to lower my expectations a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't really go into it with any expectations. The only thing that I really wanted to see was Obi-Wan and Darth Vader have a little fight, and they kind of did, but not really. So I don't know if we're gonna see that in the last episode. Something tells me we aren't. So we'll have to see what happens though. I try real hard to keep expectations in check on things and just try to enjoy. And I know it sounds like I'm very nitpicky about things, but these are just things that I notice and then they stick in my brain and I'm like, well, why wouldn't she just cut the door open with her lightsaber? Why does Leia know how to wire things? But most of that stuff I can be like, I'll keep watching.
Yeah, I just try not to let certain things take me out of the enjoyment. And
Hmm.
I mean, I granted there were certain things even with the Mandalorian that I felt kind of were campy, similar. So I think that I also had issues with some of the Mandalorian stuff, but like it's
Hmm.
overall like you. I don't expect movie quality out of each episode, I guess, and that's something I
Right,
should.
and you shouldn't.
You
You
shouldn't.
shouldn't.
Yeah, I do every time. I won't lie, but every time I watch a new series of like Star Wars, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be freaking the best stuff anyone's ever seen, and it's like, yeah, I just need
Well,
lower
that was
mix.
fine.
That was kind. Anything else you want to say about this episode that you thought was interesting pointing out?
No, I've learned that Disney needs to hire you as a hype man and just convince all the nerds everything that's wrong is that it's actually fine because Sev will come up with a reason why it's fine.
Oh, yes, Disney, if you are listening, yeah, pay me lots of money. I will do that. I will sell out for lots of money, Disney, to be
He will spin a web of lies and deceit just for you, Disney.
just for you, Disney. Disney's like, here's $5 million. Like, all right, Drag's a little more cheap, a little more expensive. You need 10 million.
Yeah, you gotta pay a little bit extra for my for me to swallow my dignity and my and to go forward and be like, it's great, and anybody who doesn't like it is horrible.
Right.
And that's the thing too is it's fine to dislike things. Like it's yeah, it's fine to not like a thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't.
there are things about this I like, and things about it I'm like, well, I wish they'd have done that better. But a lot of times people act like, well, if you don't like this thing, then maybe you just don't like Star Wars, and that just doesn't make sense because I've been a fan of Star Wars for since I was 5 years old, and pretty much everything Star Wars, with very few, if any, um, things that I wasn't a fan of over the past 20 whatever years. So
Yeah, I don't think in my opinion, I don't really see this as like no one has to like this. In my opinion, you like it or you
mhm.
don't.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the great thing about society to live in is that you don't have to like something, and if you don't like
Hmm.
you can voice your opinion
Hmm.
and just turn it off and just
Hmm.
don't watch it. So
Yep.
so yeah, this has been good. I think we've I think this episode's been great. I look forward to next week's episode. It will be a interesting to see how they wrap this all up and get it ready for a second season.
Hmm. Yeah. I'll enjoy seeing what they have to offer, even if I nitpick it a little bit afterwards.
Oh yeah, lots of nitpicking. And then you
Hmm.
2-3 years from now you'll remember this moment of watching Obi-Wan. You'll be like, that series was great. Anyone who says differently is a terrible person.
Is that true?
I don't know.
If that were true, I would have fallen in love with the sequel trilogy by now. It's been several years.
I don't know. I'm starting to come around. I think the sequels are becoming great. Maybe we should have a video about how great the sequels were. And I can try to.
I don't think we should.
I think I should try to convince you how great the sequels were. Let me.
All right, I'll do that video with you. I think you're going to be disappointed.
I know. Just give me like a little bit more time for me to also realize that the sequels are great. So I need to convince myself.
All right, we both need some more time, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Thank you for listening today, and if you enjoyed this conversation, come back again for episode 6, the finale of season 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.